Alright, boys, what's happening?
I'm
Well,
still
good, mate.
laughing from the clanging you dropped just before I pressed the record button, man. So, aye, good. All good.
Wasn't it a clanger? I was just saying happy birthday to Tam.
Okay.
It's Thomas's birthday today, that's why he's not here, so happy birthday, Tam. Anyway, boys, how we doing? He's all good?
Aye, decent, mate.
I'm not.
It's amazing what happens on a Saturday when you win.
Yeah,
and
3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs, that's what it's all about, Ando, isn't it?
Shut up, man.
all about them. All
Shut
about
up.
them.
Shut up.
As I say,
Right,
it was
okay,
really
I'm just
good.
going to stop the recording. I'm going home. I'm already home, but I've had
You're
enough of
already
this. I knew I was going to get an absolute kick in the dick for this. Alright, carry on. Let it go. Carry on. Come on.
No. Give us it. Andel. Tell us the story about Saturday.
I never made the game, mate, and we won. Which just
And again, it's a horrible reoccurring theme. You're not there and we win, so
whereas I don't know where my season ticket is. It probably doesn't matter
spin it.
actually, because I'm not
Just
going
spin
to
it.
use it again this season. So
Aye,
if
spin it.
anyone wants to make me an offer, then I will listen to all reasonable offers. But you know what I'm going to do actually, just as an exercise, I'm going to pull the stats for the last 2 or 3 seasons, games that was it, versus games I wasn't at home, and see what happens. I guarantee you, our win rate when I'm not there is brilliant, versus when I am
Well,
there,
let's see.
it's terrible.
Let's see how we get through this week. If we get through this week unscathed, you might get some offers for that season ticket. But come
Fair.
this time next week, if we're podcasting, we could be desperately trying to convince people to come and watch Hearts again this season. But we'll come on to that.
Just for anybody that hasn't
pretty soon.
got it, yeah, I stuffed up. I thought the game was at 3 o'clock on Sunday for reasons unbeknown. I don't know why. It's probably because we've had a few games recently on a Sunday. I didn't realise. And it wasn't until Kev said, let me know when you're 10 minutes away and I'll get you a beer. I was like, hey, it's nice and early. It's like nearly 26 hours ahead. And then the penny dropped. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Went and checked the fixture list, and sure enough, Saturday 3 o'clock. And for anybody that doesn't know, I'm a 3-hour drive away from Tynecastle and an hour and a half on the train. So, that was it, done.
So it was a dream that you're obviously dreaming that we were still in European football.
Yeah.
And thought we were back to playing on Sundays.
Aye.
How that dream died.
Exactly.
Right. This week we'll go through. We'll get a bit of Tam down. We'll go through some headlines. We'll look over the last Hearts performance, home victory against Aberdeen, as we just spoke about. We'll look forward to this week. Pretty massive week for Hearts. Starting Saturday at St Mirren, then we're away to Kilmarnock in the quarterfinals or was it the last
quarters?
Quarters of the League Cup at Kilmarnock, and then we are away to Ross County on the Saturday. So a big week for Hearts, and the ambitions of the club is to where we want to be come the end of the season. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about a whole load of nonsense in between. Sound good?
Sure does.
Definitely.
Cool. Anybody waiting on merch, we'll talk about it now. We've had a right pain in the arse when it's come to our merch, so apologies to absolutely everybody that's ordered something and is still waiting to receive orders. We have all of the orders now, finally, and they should be with you this week, if not definitely next week as well. So again, you buy them and pre-order from us. We then order from the supplier. The supplier then makes them, ships them, or that the supplier gets them from like the continent somewhere. They come here on freight ships, etc. So it takes ages. So again, apologies for how long it's taken, but bear with us. They're on their way. You should have them by the end of this week, if not definitely next week. All right. Right. Let's do the Tam down. Might as well. It's been ages since we've had a wee quiz.
It has. So I think we've done this one before. Maybe. And avid fans, if we have any that have stayed the course. If we any of them that have stayed the course with us this long, they'll be able to tell me if we've done this one before. My gut tells me we have, but fuck it, we're doing it anyway. Right. So we obviously won against Aberdeen at the weekend, which we'll cover in more detail. Kev, both hands where I can see them. And this is a game that we won against Aberdeen, and I've picked this one deliberately out of the others that were available, just because it's Corbett and Kev. If Tam was here, there'd be no point in him even taking part in this. And we'll take the opportunity to wish him happy birthday, the new, and that's why he's not here. He's away off getting pumped off his missus. So,
Do you know what I'd noticed actually the other day there, and it triggered me because Shanks sent me a picture that he'd clearly sent into like one of his group chats when Scotland were playing, and it was like John McGinn doing a post-match interview, but he had like those emojis with like the love hearts for the eyes. He had like that on it, and I was like, that's funny because actually there's 6 of us on this podcast, or 6 of us historically have been on this podcast. 3 of us have got almost a forensic knowledge of Hearts, the history of Hearts, barely miss a big game. We're there for every single big game, every cup win, etc., etc. And then there's 3, I don't want to call them idiots, but they're 3 folk that love Scotland that have not been to every single cup game, barely go to many Hearts games, have got no knowledge whatsoever of Hearts games. And it's funny, I connected the dots to be like, that's weird, innit? I'm not saying that you can't be a massive Hearts fan and support Scotland, but there's definitely a correlation because my boss never misses a Scotland game, goes everywhere with the Tartan Army, but is also a Hearts fan. And he barely ever goes to a Hearts game and has got no knowledge of Hearts whatsoever. There you go. If you ever wonder why we can't do Tam Downs and why Shanks, Brads, and Tam can never do any good in the quizzes, it's probably because their finger is right up Ryan Porteous's arse.
Oh, love it, love it. And that's absolutely accurate. Definitely true.
As me and Kev make a total Ricky Hunt of this quiz.
100%.
Nah,
100%.
not even told you the game yet, but I would probably, I was definitely there. It's one of I think it might be my earliest memory being at Hampden. And it will go.
Oh, has it got my favourite away top? It's got this one in it.
Mate, you're right. You're right. It's Saturday, the 6th of April, 1996. And it was Aberdeen 1, Hearts 2. So, back in the day, you were only.
But definitely I've done this one, by the way.
We
But it's
probably
fine, we'll do
have,
it
but
again.
we'll do it anyway.
We'll do it again, why not?
Exactly.
It's good fun.
Well, it should be fairly quick because we've got the 2 most learned individuals on here. So, 11 outfield players, 3 substitutes, because that's right, all you youngsters, back in the day, you were only allowed 3 substitutes on the bench. And yeah. But if you're unsure about that, you think I'm talking nonsense, ask your dad. Right. In no particular order, because you're alphabetically first, Corbett, you go first. Who have we got?
Remember, this was the game where the mad guy was taking acid, and when we scored, they scored. Every the adult runabout us took turns each celebrating, but also battering fuck at this guy who was a pain in the ass for the whole game. He had an inflatable sheet. He was staying
Wait.
I'm sure I've told you this.
Seriously?
Aye.
I've not heard this yet.
No,
I mean, you've got some stories but that's an absolute belter.
Honestly, we went through on a bus with my dad. Obviously, so I'd have been 11 at the time. We were in the stadium. I think it was maybe one of my first. I think I was there for one of the Airdrie debacles. So it wasn't my first trip to Hampden, but in the whole game, mate, he had an inflatable sheep. He was tuned to the moon. He had a roll of acid tabs. He was, God knows what game he was watching, but it wasn't Hearts. And he was doing like Shanks at the football, mate. Everybody wanted to batter him, but only like Shanks thought he was having the time of his life, whereas everybody else did. And then when we scored the goals during the limbs and the celebrations, everybody round about us took the opportunity to have a pop at this guy that had done their head in the whole game. So
to lay in
it was fun.
It's class.
Alan Johnson.
Alan Johnson, absolutely correct. Kev.
Well, we'll continue with the goal scorers. Let's go with John Robertson.
Correct. Corbett.
Alan Lawrence.
Well, again, also correct. Kev.
Colin Cameron.
Colin Cameron. Really? No.
You're season 2.
Yeah, predates him.
Of course, you came back to that
he joined in the
It's
summer.
a swing and a miss over at Corbett.
Dave McPherson.
Big Donkey Dave was on the bench and did come on. Kev.
Gilles
Gilles
Rusey.
Rusey, absolutely. Corbett.
Was it their keeper or was it Rusey and made an arse one of the goals?
Rusey never really made an arse of it. It's not an arse of it like he made in the final that year like, against the Rangers, but...
Was it Alan Johnson scored for like a cross or something, didn't he?
No,
Or was it a
Alan
cross
Johnson
came in and he tried to...
Alan
Aye.
Johnson crossed for Robertson.
Aye.
And
Aye.
I think Alan Lawrence scored, crossed for Alan Johnson.
John Cahoon.
JC, yes. Kev.
Gary Mackay.
Gary Mackay is also correct. Corbett.
Was Kevin Thompson there?
Kevin Thompson's a Hibs player. I would hope that he wouldn't be there. I know who you're meaning. I'll give you a bye.
Thomas.
You mean
Kevin
Thomas? Yeah. Yes, he was an unused substitute.
Aye. 'Cause
Um,
we had a team full of folk with curtains.
That's right.
in that case, Gary Locke.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nice segue. Corbett.
Tosh McKinley?
No, it was neither.
What year were you?
Okay, I was thinking left back, so
No, left back that day would have been.
was it Dissa?
Yeah, probably would be actually, but I'll
There you
not
go,
take it.
Kev.
I'll not take it. No,
No,
I'm
you
not
can
gonna
have it,
take
Kev, it's fine.
I'll go
We're
with-
alright, we're all pals.
I'll go with Paul Ritchie.
Paul-
would have been.
Paul Ritchie is correct. We are 5 each and
Disappointing.
disappointing. There we go. The low hanging fruit. It's a shitty phrase, but I'm going to use it.
Mhm.
We've got 3 players left all outfield.
Yeah, did Stevie Frail play for us?
He
Hold
did,
on.
but
Hold on, it's my shot.
not then.
Oh, sorry, Kev. Sorry, Kev.
Even although I can't, no, but he definitely didn't play for us at that time. Fulton, Stevie Fulton played.
Stevie Fulton sure did. Big Baggio. We've got 2
Did we-
left.
Did that mean that we didn't have a goalkeeper on the bench?
That's right.
That's bold,
That's
isn't it?
mental, eh? But that was
For
the
a
thing.
national for a national
But
semi-final.
that was the thing back in the day, though. You could only name like so many substitutes, and see if you go back a decade before that, you could only name 2.
Aye,
So
aye.
I'm sure my age
So
now.
what we waiting for then? One on the bench.
No, 2 outfield.
Was Jim Hamilton there?
No, Jim Alton wasn't
No.
involved.
No, yeah.
You get 2 players. One of them, I loved this guy. I thought he was brilliant. I don't know if I should give you any clues. It was just one of the guys. It's like you look at him and you just think, okay, you're a reasonable footballer, but it was just a fan's favorite. Everybody loved him. I don't know anyone that didn't like him. It's just because he was no fucking nonsense.
Hi,
Pasquale
Bruno.
Bruno.
Corbett said it first. He gets it, and then there is one left.
We can get a half point each. We both said it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's a draw going into the final. The final
Alan
player.
McManus.
Oh, Kev gets you.
McManus never gets a start. That's where I was going in my head. I was working through that song.
There you go, Alan McManus. Right, okay. So because Kev kind of stole that from me because you were taking a drink of water at the time, I'm going to remove Kev's winning point, and it's now 6 each. What I want you to do though, right, is just slightly a bit of a curveball. Can you tell me who the referee was in that game?
Row bottom.
Wasn't Rowbottom.
The guy that gave us a penalty in '98.
Correct. Well done, Willie Young.
Willie Young.
There you go. Corbett wins.
I remember
7-6.
because it was that big, stupid, oversized, black SFA thing, jacket, jumpery thing that they used to wear all the time. It was way too big for them because it was like Neil McCann. He came the next game year, didn't he?
Yes.
He came with the Falkirk guys, didn't he?
Aye.
There you go. Willie Clarkston Young was the referee that game. Kev, actually, no, I'm not even going to ask that because it's a stupid fucking question, so we'll just move on. But well done, Corbett.
Was it Duncan Shearer that scored for them?
I'll tell you the new. It was Duncan Shearer. Yeah.
Was it Ebby Skoda that was their manager?
No, it wouldn't have been. Was it still Alex Miller back then? I would have said. Wait a minute. I don't know if it tells me that on here. I'm just using London Hearts because it's the easiest thing for this, isn't it? Then I don't know. Chat amongst yourselves. It doesn't actually tell me who the manager of the opposition was. That's annoying. But no.
Would it have been?
96.
Was it like? I think we in goals for them. Was it Jim? Would it have been Jim Layton in goals for them, or would
No,
it
he
have
would have
been
been. I think he was at Hibs at
Gordon
that point.
Marshall or something?
So
Gordon
the
Marshall
full
or
team.
something.
There's some crackers in here, right? So the full team list. The outfield 11 for them is Michael Watt, Stuart McKimmie, Colin Woodthorpe, Stevie Glass, John Ingalls, Gary Smith, Joe Miller, Dean Windass, Paul Bernard, Billy
You have
Dodds,
Ian Jess.
and Hugh Robertson. On the bench is Brian Grant, Big Super Donkey Shearer, and then Derek Stilley. So, but what was his name? Was it Aberdeen manager? I'm googling this, right? Sorry, this isn't really entertaining, but I need to know who this is. Aberdeen manager in 1996. Who was it?
Saying it was
Roy. No way, was it?
Roy
Roy
Aitken.
Aitken.
Ah, couldn't have been. Was it?
That's what it says. My Aberdeen FC in the
Jeez.
96-97. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong season. Making a Ricky Hunt of that. No, sorry, it was in the 95-96 season. It was Roy Aitken.
Right, well sound.
Uh,
Well, there we go. There was a random rabbit hole it jumped in.
yeah, cool. Right, we'll not do that again. Right, well done, Corbett. You've won again as usual, predictably.
That was a good day out.
It was a class
That
day
was-
of that.
That was a good day out.
Again, I don't think.
And then we had the change ends, and we got absolutely hammered in the final because we weren't at because we were at the traditional end where we always seem to do quite well, and then we had to be in the other end because that was the Rangers end, wasn't it?
That's right.
Bastard.
I've had to explain this to the missus before that we always use Hearts and Rangers share an end, and Celtic and Hibs share an end at Hampden. This is how you know good versus evil. Except when we play Rangers and they kick us over to the Celtic end or the Hibs end.
And we have never won a game.
I don't think we have. No,
We haven't.
No.
We've never won a game shooting that way. We've
Yeah.
never won a game where we've had fans that side of the stadium. Because it was the same when we played St Mirren. When they beat us too. We were behind that goal.
I can remember
Because
that
they got the other end.
Is that the
So.
was that the night we all stayed over at our mate? Oh well, I don't speak to him
Gary's.
anymore, but our old mate Gary's house.
Aye.
Good day with that.
Cool. It was fun. Right. Headlines. Obviously, since the last time we podcast, he's been the manager the whole time anyway, but the last time it's been officially announced by the club that Stephen A. Smith is now the first team coach and Frank McAvoy is now the assistant manager. We didn't really need to go over it. Then we know we've been through all of it. Still messy, but again, first game on Saturday as the new setup, and we've won. So I've said numerous times, numerous outlets and platforms that I've been on that as long as Hearts win football matches, nobody will give a shiny shit who is in the dugout. So fair enough. Some positives from coming out of Hearts from the week there. Getting Craig Gordon, Kev's back in some form of training, whether it be full training or not.
Aye, it looks like it's probably. I mean, he's never going to go straight into full training as such, but it's definitely good to see him back, kicking balls and sort of looking at getting his fitness back up. I doubt we'll probably see him in goals before Christmas, but still, it's a positive to take on board. So all good as far as I'm concerned.
Aye, it'll be interesting to see what happens when he becomes fully fit, because we have to manage that situation accordingly. We obviously Xander Clark is eyed to be I'm assuming the long term successor for Craig Gordon. So, but you obviously can't just bring him Gordon straight back in and kick Clark out. So it'll be interesting to see what the club does. Benny back in the squad on Saturday, although did he come on Saturday?
No.
Didn't come on Saturday, but good to see him back. And getting some good news, Ando, from obviously Cochrane and Tagawa were on crutches, but it doesn't seem like they've got serious long-term injuries, which is decent.
I think in seasons gone by, we'd probably have an injury list as long as your arm. I know definitely the season before last, we were beset with injuries at exactly this point in the season, which absolutely killed us. But yeah, to get through the opening part of the season pretty much unscathed is half decent, to be honest. It gives us a bit of a solid footing.
Yeah, the good thing, Kev, I was going to say is for Kingsley, because it gives Kingsley a bit of a clear shot at playing left back where he has been at his best for Hearts.
Yeah, and maybe that's what he needs is just a settled run in the side. Appreciate that. Probably the game at Livingston last season was, to be honest with you, it was a little bit of a demise of Kingsley. He sort of dropped like a bit of a stone in regards to his performances, and from that game onwards. But I mean, he's now had I would say anyway, a couple of good games behind him. He definitely looked a hell of a lot better on Sunday. Sorry, Saturday.
Jesus. Is that an old folks home, man?
You shut it.
So from that point of view, I
hell.
mean, for him to actually have that, a run of probably I would say the next at least 6 or 7 games. However, given our past history about telling us how long people are going to be injured for, to say that Cochrane's going to be out for about 6 weeks, we probably will see him about March.
Yeah,
fair.
That's true. I think obviously I won't go into too much detail because it's not in the public eye, it's not it. But I know Kingsley's gone through some stuff away from football, which have been obviously will have been a massive factor where we're at. So it's good to see him slowly but surely coming back to somewhere near his best, which is great for him. It's good for us as well because to have two really good options at that side of the park is obviously that's a good headache to have. I want to see him back. Why is he not hit free kicks anymore? Like that, we had one and they gave it and Connor Smith had it. I think can't remember who we were playing, Kilmarnock maybe, and then we had one on Saturday as well, which was within shooting range for Kingsley, and I think he left it for somebody else to Lowry to have a pop.
No, Lowry never
I
came
think,
on. I'm trying to think
when
who it
he-
was, but you're right. It's a bit strange.
But then the other side of that coin is it's like we've just been talking about pizza ovens in the green room before we hit the record button, right? So see when I make the world's best ever pizza in my pizza oven, I'll probably never use it again because I've attained perfection. What he done in the semi-final against the Hibs, what's the point in even? He's never going to beat it. Let somebody else have a try.
and to be honest, since the match announcer or whatever called him the free kick king or whatever, I think he's even screaming. He's hit the target, man. He's
I'll be honest,
absolutely
I
killed
never
him with
heard
that.
the match announcer say that because I don't think I ever hear anything he says. He needs to talk into the microphone like a big boy.
Hearts of Midlothian. Other than
there
that,
you go.
but that's fine. Let's not get back in that. And then really good news, Kev. It looks like a fire. He's got some positive news from whatever he was getting with his tests and all that sort of stuff, and it looks like he's going to return back to Hearts pretty soon, which is
It
good
definitely
news,
is. I mean, you never want to see anybody like have that kind of. And let's be honest, it was a possible career ending. There was you just never know when it's anything to do with the main part of the body, i.e. his heart, that you've got to be worrying about these kind of things. So, no, great news to see him coming back, and from that point of view, hopefully he'll actually again are running the team, understand more around about the players that are playing around about him, the league that he's playing in. That's something that's some people maybe don't take into consideration. You automatically see that a young lad from the Premiership comes up, you expect him to hit the ground running really as such, but playing in Scottish football is a totally different game. It's a lot more physical, and it just takes a little bit of time to get that sort of experience under his belt. And from that point of view, we hope that he does come back, get a run in the team, and from that side of things, does become a bit of a hit. Let's say like what Cochrane was when he first came in, or he came for that first season on loan as well. So we'll see how it goes.
and we get to sing the Off Fire tune
Correct.
again. So win-win.
I've never actually
win-win
seen
all
him.
round. Decent.
Like I've seen him on the highlights and whatnot, but I've never actually seen him play in the flesh, as it were. So
Right. Did we not bring him on in the the first minute of injury time versus Palk or something.
It was a
random like that as well.
game I wasn't
You
at,
know, one
which
of
is annoying. But anyway,
He was one of those weird subs during that time where we just decided to make all of our subs in the first minute of added on time.
he has
which
scored
doesn't
though,
make
hasn't he?
any
Am I
sense.
making that up?
Scored in
He
his
scored
first
against
game.
Partick.
That's
He
it, yeah.
broke our broke the duck for scoring from headers from
Jesus.
a corner. We stopped the count. I think like Riles maybe have scored earlier, but it was like a deflection or something. It was more like an own goal than it was a header, so I'll take it for that. Cool. Right, well, let's talk about game on Saturday. Unless there's anything else Hearts related that's came up in the week that
Don't think
caught your eye?
so. No. Just as long as people don't move games to Sunday from now on, we'll be all good.
Okay. Am I right in thinking, just thinking ahead, have we got a 3 o'clock Saturday kickoff for the derby? Has that not been picked for television?
There's no.
Long may that
I
continue.
don't believe there's any Hearts games that have been picked for TV at home anyway between now and Christmas. The full fixture list has been produced by the TV companies, and from that point of view, I don't believe there's a Hearts game that's been televised at Tynecastle.
I believe you're correct.
Between now and Christmas.
Good. 3 o'clock Saturday derbies. Yes, sign me up for that. I'm
or
all
half
for
past
that.
fives.
Right. Oh, aye. 5:30s or 7:45 Friday night kickoffs, Saturday night kickoffs. Let's get them back because they were class. Aberdeen at home. Kev, me and you can obviously talk about it, and or you could talk about what you've seen on the Red TV or whatever it is you managed to catch the game on. Let's talk about Aberdeen first, Kev, because they were rotten, weren't they?
Oh, aye. Even when we went 1-0 up, before it, I never felt under any real form of pressure. There was nothing. They were struggling to pull sort of 4 passes together. They looked at 6 and 7s, and I appreciate that. Robson came out and he said, we've brought in like 12, 13 players in the summer. Now I thought back to the days under Cathro, we pulled in like the same kind of numbers of players and how bad we were. You're thinking that's just the worst thing you could do. But they were not coherent in any way, shape, or form. And I know that Neil McCann called it out on Saturday night on Sports Scene, is they just kept going for the long ball. And Frankie Kent, as we already know, all sticky seed on everything. You would have thought they would move a bit more guile about them.
They were. It sounds like absolute sour grapes, and the victor go the spoils and all that stuff. They get to dictate the history of how it was, but what an absolute shambles we finished behind them last season, because he'll be one of the first managerial casualties of this season, Barry Robson. I think they'll get a pretty tough group in Europe. I'll be interested in to see how they do tomorrow. Today's obviously Wednesday. Tomorrow being Thursday, I think they're away to Frankfurt, aren't
I'm
they?
sure it is. I checked earlier.
Eintracht Frankfurt. That's where they're away. They're away there. They're the 4th seeded team in that group as well, aren't they? So like they don't have a Riga or anybody to bash about. They've got PAOK, Frankfurt, and I don't know, somebody else.
HJK,
probably
Helsinki or something like that.
That'll give them a scalping to it. I was the same as you, Kev. I thought you never know what to think, because obviously they finished 3rd last season because of us, and they beat us 3-0 and 2-0. I think in Aberdeen last season. One was a game after Europe. I think we'd just been scudded at Fiorentina, and then we played them, and then obviously we went up there, and it was one of the games that kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of Robbie leaving. But even when we played them at Tynecastle last season, they just look rubbish. Like like you said, the long ball football. They obviously tried to be tactical. They'd obviously identified that Riles, for example, was not the best in the air. So they've tried to exploit that. But playing for second balls when you get Haring and Devlin in there, I felt like they played into our hands almost the full game. So, absolutely gang. We shouldn't be finishing behind them this season, or questions need to be asked, because they were they were shocking.
Don't know.
Hearts, Ando, what was your thoughts before the game when you seen the team and all that sort of stuff?
I'll be honest. When I looked at the team, I thought, I'm fine with that. I think given recent performances, I think, and the limited amount that I have seen, obviously I've not been to Tynecastle a lot, and obviously same as the case on Saturday, but I didn't have any immediate dramas with the team. I thought, fair enough, you look at it, it's it's more than capable enough of beating Aberdeen on paper. Again, partially just because they were an absolute riot and a shambles. But I think the inclusion of Oda, Boyce, Vargas all playing together was definitely welcomed. I was more. I don't know what happens with you guys, right? But where do you immediately look, right? Because more recently, I've been looking at the front. Sorry, I'll rephrase. Normally, I would look at the front and who we've got up top. But more recently, I've been looking at the midfield, and the defence, and panicking a little bit. But then when I seen that team line come out on Saturday, I thought, nah, anything we've got up front doesn't really matter about what's happening behind it. I think we've got more than enough in the tank. So was unsettled, I think, is probably the best word to use.
Four at the back and two sitting defensive midfielders. I look at that every time I look at the team sheet as well. And I think, are we away for him of the? Oh no, it's at Tynecastle, isn't it? All right, sorry. I'm not looking at that. Kev, we've spoke about this already. We spoke about it earlier. I think first and foremost, given 4 straight defeats, given the start to the season, the noise around it and stuff, first and foremost, getting the 3 points was the most important, wasn't
it? Definitely, and hadn't we got the 3 points on Saturday, I think, again, going back to what you said, people would start to ask questions of what's going on. When the team are winning, you don't really give two shits what's happening in the boardroom or in the dugout or whatever. At the end of the day, your team's just picked up 3 points where we needed to pick up 3 points. So from that point of view, I agree with you, and I think if had we got beat on Saturday, I think it would have been Tynecastle would have been, let's be truthfully honest, what you love about Hearts and Tynecastle, a cesspit of hatred.
Yeah, absolutely would have been. But I think you're right to say that I'll put my cards on the table and nobody will be shocked to hear that I didn't think Hearts played well on Saturday, performance-wise. But I'll take 3 points, given we hadn't won a home game for the start of the season. We take the 3 points. You also take the 3 points considering that it's will be one of our main rivals for third, etc. So you take it, you take 3 points, and you say, and I quite liked and agreed with what Naismith said after the game about these things. We've got good players. They've just got to believe in themselves, and winning matches breeds confidence. It gets you your belief, and I'd absolutely agree with all of that. I would have liked to have seen a performance, yeah, probably. And if truth be told, at 2-0, we started to play really, really well. I thought we were much better in the second half. Get the goal, we started to ask questions, we started to cause them problems, we were knocking the ball a bit well, etc. But I still think we've got more in us. We've got other gears to go up again. You look at Oda's goal, we didn't get into those situations enough in the first half. Same with Vargas as well. Same Palk with Vargas. Give him the ball and let him have the park in front of him. He causes defenders nothing but problems. But we did it like once and then stopped giving him the ball. And it was the same on Saturday as well. He caused bother. We got down there. And especially the first half, Kev, we were a bit guilty of overplaying. I'm thinking of there was the opportunity. Shanklin could have shot, didn't. Then slid in, I think, Boyce, who also could have shot, and he didn't. And then he passed it back to Shanklin. Or it was Vargas, actually, gave it to Vargas. And then he gave it back to Shanklin. And Shanklin tried to play the sort of threaded ball for Boyce when all of them could have just had a shot. It was we're guilty of that sometimes, aren't we? The overplaying in the final third.
I think it's more than that. I think we're guilty of it more often than not. And somebody should have a word and just say, look, we were possibly seconds away from not getting a game against Pauk when Devlin decided to try his luck. You know, if you don't shoot, you don't score. And there's been too many occasions of that. Trying to, you feel that sometimes that the team want to win, goal of the season. Let's just get goals before we start worrying about that kind of side of things. And it's frustrating in the fans, and then the fans get on the players' backs. You think, well, you know what? I don't have a problem with taking a shot and goal. If it goes over the bar, it goes over the bar. I'd rather that than just lose the ball.
Yeah, and you're right to say as well, like Devlin's the perfect example of it. He scores against Rosenborg, gets 2 against Rosenborg. In the one shot he did have on Saturday, he's made the goalkeeper make a good save. Like, do you know what I mean? And all right, it would have been absolute goal of the season because I think we had about 40 passes before they got his shot away. But other than Haring, you're right that we didn't really have people hitting shots, which I would like to see us
I
get
think
a
it's
bit
a
better.
football thing overall, though,
I'd
isn't
like
it?
to.
It's like if you've watched.
Aye,
Aye,
it's a
exactly.
trend
You have to
behind doing
walk
it.
the ball into the net, or everything has to be a tap in. It's like, or you have to be on in or around the penalty spot before you absolutely bury it. No one shoots for yardage anymore. It's just the way football is, I suppose. But that I agree, that notwithstanding that, I think totally agree.
When you look at things like how Devlin's winner came against Rosenborg, it's crowded penalty area and all that sort of stuff. If you don't, these are the opportunities. You shoot crowded box, you get a ricochet, a deflection. It could fall into the path of Shankland. It could wrong foot the keeper and go in. And especially Aberdeen are playing a low block. They had numbers back all the time. So why not shoot? It's something different. I get it. It's about recycling the ball and not giving the ball away, etc. And I get all that, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. Look at Vargas. Second half, absolute belter of a strike, is inches away from scoring debut goal or his first ever goal for Hearts, and it being goal of the season. It was an absolute belter. I did want to talk about first half. Kev, good goal, comes from Oda again. I think near enough all of his goals have come from that side of the box, that type of movement, cutting inside, taking a shot, etc. But uh, Atkinson, again, I've been nothing but impressed with Nathaniel Atkinson this season, and I thought he had another solid game on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't know if this is maybe the case, but I wonder if Atkinson has a lot more belief in Frankie Kent being beside him in that back four, that he knows he can actually push on, and he can go and look at overlapping or push himself into midfield and supporting Oda, supporting Boyce, whatever the case may be, because he knows perfectly well that the guy who is behind him has got his back to an extent. Because I noticed that a couple of times there was that communication between Atkinson and Kent, especially in the second half. Of course, being where I sit, you can hear them sort of screaming and shouting at each other, which I think is a big plus point, and definitely something that we can look at more moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Atkinson's presence in that side of the park helps open the space for Oda to get those shots away because he's making the defenders think actually, like, not only do we have to worry about Oda, but where's Atkinson? Where's he going? Because if he drifts inside, we'll have to follow him. Goes in overlap, we'll have to shut it down. And it's occupying. I've said that before. It's something that Shanklin does amazingly well. It's something that Gino did really well as well. Was actually just making defenders be aware where you didn't have to physically be occupying them, but if you're in their mind, they'll think I can't go too far to this side or too far to that side because you know I'll lose my man. So I think Atkinson's been one of the bright sparks this season, and I was really impressed with him again on Saturday.
I'm not saying this just to make it a bit or to cause controversy or whatever, but I don't know if I'm there yet. On Atkinson, I absolutely agree that he has been a lot better by comparison to where he has been, but I don't know why I still have this underlying fear about him. I don't know what it is. It's like You know, when you look at a player, and it's like like Zaliukas had these moments. As much as he was a good player, right? He always had the potential for an accident in him. We know that, right? And that's not to besmirch the great man. But I still get that same feel with Atkinson. I don't know why. I just call it a feeling. I'm waiting for the house of cards to collapse, and for him to revert to the poor form that we've seen previously from him.
I don't know if that's a reflection of Atkinson, more of how we feel about the defensive side of things at Hearts. It's no secret that Halkett and Gordon being out of the team, our defensive stats have plummeted in terms of where we are. They do well to keep they do like a clean sheet and then go the next four conceding 2-3 in every game type thing, and then they shore up again, etc., etc. So maybe you're right to point it out. We have previous with Atkinson, but I think genuinely since Naismith has come in, I think his performances have been brilliant. He's really positive. He looks like he's playing with confidence. He's actually wised up as well defensively. He's in better positions on the park. He's actually really good at in the air as well. He's good at tackling. Like they kept swapping Duke side to side, wing to wing, because he was getting no joy from Kingsley. He was getting no joy from Atkinson, and I think that this time last season that would have I'd have been in your shoes, Ando. I'd have seen him going up against Atkinson and thought, oh God, here we go. But the good thing is, best form of defence is attack, and the fact that he is so. He came in, he had a shot on Saturday as well, which is good to see. I think that makes him an asset for us right now.
Yeah,
as
and,
well,
and,
where
and
we're
don't
at.
misread me. I don't want him.
So
I don't want the boy to fail. I want all Hearts
no,
players to
I
do
know that.
well, and I like him. But I think another couple of weeks, another couple of solid performances, and I'll be there. I'll definitely be on the bus.
Got to give him a bit of credit as well. On Saturday, he was the last man, or one of the last men as they were coming back from another failed corner kick, and he took the right action of just taking one for the team.
Yep.
Which again, go back to what you just said there. Now he's starting to wise up. His positional sense is definitely a positive, and off the back of that, you then also give that coaching team, let's call it that at the moment, a little bit of credit as well, because they horsed Atkinson 10 minutes later, brought on Sibic, and Sibic slotted in and didn't give the boy Duke an easy time neither. So it was a bit clever from Atkinson, and hats off to him for doing it.
I think obviously it was like Naismith identified that like Duke's main strength is his pace, and Sibic is rapid. So it made sense to bring him on, especially as they're chasing the game and we're going up trying to score the second and the third if that's what we want. The game gets stretched. So yeah, I thought it was farewell. First half was meh. It was okay. It was a lot of, like you said, loads of possession. Aberdeen make it difficult, although they didn't play well. They flood the areas of the park where we like to try and get our guys on the ball, etc. So it was a bit war of attrition in the first half, but second half, especially Kev, I would talk about. I thought Devlin was absolutely superb in the second half. He was everywhere and everything that we want him to be consistently.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. And I think what you also found from Devlin in the second half is he was taking the ball and actually trying to do something with it. He was making those. Sometimes it was a pass, then he moved into space and got the pass back and things like that. And you spoke about the shot he had in the last minute, 94th minute of the game or whatever. If you watch that back, the 30 odd passes that we have in that sort of stretch, he's actually involved probably 6 or 7 times before he even gets the shot away, because he's given the pass moving into space. And don't get me wrong, right? Space was available at that time. Aberdeen they'd spat the dummy and they were already halfway up the tunnel, so the space was there for him to actually find. But that whole element of him making the pass and going looking for space is something he maybe needs to do more of in the first half of the game, when maybe space isn't as easy to find, but he's got to try and find it and make that ball move, and be clever with it as well.
Nando, we've spoken about this before. Like you look at some of our worst performances over the last couple of seasons against Aberdeen. I think back to a game where Scott Brown sat between, just in front of their back line and in between their midfield and just killed us dead. We couldn't. He just broke up play, just sat in there, and he won the ball and he stopped it, and it knocked us off our rhythm. And then I think of the games last season with Shinnie played in that space and did the exact same thing, just knocked us off our rhythm. And Shinnie couldn't get near the ball because Devlin was just all over him all the time. And you look at, they had McGrath in there, they've got Clarkson in there, they've got some good football players in that part of the park. I don't think it'd be a credit to Haring and especially Devlin that we managed to keep them so quiet.
I think one of the if this isn't the yardstick by which you measure any of these things, but Shinnie, right? Again, because I wasn't watching it on Red TV. Let's just say that much. But obviously, not being there, you have to watch what's being broadcast on the screen. And any time the camera focused on Shinnie, he's up like that, being a total mouthpiece in the referee's ear because he's frustrated, he's upset, and obviously the team are hampered as a result of what we're doing, and that just tells you everything because Shinnie is a good footballer. Like he's decent, but I think we done to them what they normally do to us. Which I don't want to say it's monumental, but it's a good thing to see. Is that we're causing teams, and rightly so. We should be doing that at home against teams like that.
I think you look at my big complaints against Kilmarnock and then at home to Motherwell was that actually we were passive. We went up against teams that were aggressive, whether it be aggressive in their press, whether it be, aggressive in the tackle, getting in our faces and all that sort of stuff. We were the aggressor on Saturday, which was, I'll take that for the time being. Like I say, I'm sick of the nice side to side football, keeping the possession, keeping the ball but going nowhere. Like I liked that we were snapping into second balls and all that sort of stuff. And Kev, we get to talk about it because we won, and it's definitely no sour grapes. But the referee, Kevin Clancy, was fucking terrible on Saturday.
Awful. One of the worst performances, and not just from our point of view, from their point of view as well. He was absolutely horrific. However, every time we went into a challenge, the card was already out before even anything was happening.
I know.
I
know. Like Liam Boyce can have no complaint.
Correct.
That was a yellow card. 100% a yellow card. And Nathaniel Atkinson, 100% a yellow card. The rest, nonsense.
Correct.
An absolute nonsense. And the fact that Duke never even got booked was a genuine how. I've no idea what he would have had to have done to have
I
got
don't
booked.
know if this is maybe a Kevin Clancy thing because he got there was an incident, I'm sure it was involving Kilmarnock, because he had to come out and apologise to Derek McInnes because he blew the whistle too early. He should have let play I can't forget what the incident was. He should have let play continue, he never. Derek McInnes was incensed about it, and then obviously had to be apologised to by Kevin Clancy. So this isn't yeah, okay, the SFA is crap, and standard of referees in this country is poor. But this is specifically a Kevin Clancy thing. He seems to have been around for a long time. It's maybe time to move him on, man. Like SFA, if you're listening,
he just
take it.
He just lost
100%.
control of the game completely.
There was six. I think there was 6 yellow cards, and 3 of them were probably merited. As you say, the one for Boyce and Atkinson, and I can't imagine. I think he's their centre half. Absolutely went through Boyce in the second half, and in all honesty, from that could have been reviewed. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying it was definitely a red card or anything like that, but in real time, it looked like a really bad challenge.
It was Peter Haring that got booked first for absolutely nothing. It was an absolute shot. It was about 6 minutes into the game, and he got booked for what will have been his first even involvement in the game, and it just spiralled for there. He was desperate to book Cammy Devlin for the minute Cammy Devlin stepped onto the pitch, and I think he did get booked, and it wasn't even.
No, he didn't.
They not get a booking.
He booked Frankie Kent for nothing. I think Frankie Kent.
I knew they. It was a shambles, man. It was an absolute terrible performance. But let's talk about the positives. We were much, much better in the second half. We got the 3 points, which was good. I thought Kairos was good. I thought Frankie Kent really good as well. Shankland, I don't know. we need to sort out where we're at with Shankland and play to his strengths, because he cut a very frustrated figure. I'm not even sure if he even had a shot on target. I can't remember
I
if he
don't
had a shot on
remember.
target
I don't
in
remember any.
Dundee. Did they have a shot on target in Dundee? Did they have a shot on target against Motherwell? Did they have a shot on target versus Kilmarnock? Like, we need to sort that out, because he's a 30 goal a season striker, but you have to give him chances. You've got to feed him the ball to get him chances. So, and on the flip side of that, Ando, with Leon Boyce back amongst the goals, first goal in over a year. It was great to see him back in the score sheet, wasn't it?
My boy. Absolutely delighted for him. Yeah, not like put it this way, he's scored far better goals in his career than that one, but it's breaking your duck, isn't it? It's like you're that's him on the score sheet again, and even committed after the match and said, "I really, really important." I think that doesn't matter how it goes in, even if it came in off his backside, it'll give him the confidence. Because, and this is a thing, right? We know that he's such a capable player. He's so good with the ball at his feet. And getting a goal like that is going to give him the I suppose the courage. As we were talking about earlier on, to shoot when the ball's in open play rather than having to just walk it into the net. So I expect him to kick on and get a good few more over the next
Well,
coming games.
here's hoping. Here's hoping. A nice segue into the coming games then, because we're playing St Mirren pretty soon. Pretty soon on Saturday. I don't know why I said
Saturday.
pretty soon. It's this Saturday. So,
Sure, it's no Sunday.
St Mirren absolutely flying in the league. The best of the rest so far in the season. Actually, playing better than Rangers currently. We're at a mental stage of the season where we lose on Saturday and we could be 7 points behind St Mirren, which is absolutely bananas given that we haven't played an Edinburgh derby or the Old Firm. So, Kev, what's your thoughts for Saturday?
I think this Saturday is going to be a tough game. I'm not going to lie. We saw, the two games we played in Paisley last season were both tough games.
Dirty games.
Came out, and it's and this is just the way I remember Robinson when he was in charge of Motherwell. He sets his teams up to be difficult to beat. He does that pretty well, and they're tenacious in that midfield. They'll not give up many free kicks in and around the box. So you have to have your wits about you, as managers have said in the past. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a tough game on Saturday. There's no reason why we can't go there positively and have confidence given the way we played on Saturday. But it'll require probably a fairly one of the better performances we've had in the last year and a half anyway to come away from Paisley on Saturday with a result and 3 points.
Yeah, Ando, I disagree with anything Kev said there.
No, I think it's gonna be a stern test. I don't think that they're there by fluke. They're there on merit. And while I don't want to pay too much compliments to another team or whatever, I think yeah, they are the surprise package of the season so far. Well, I think there's no getting away from that. But they're definitely there on merit, and I haven't seen a lot of St Mirren games other than what I've seen on Sports Scene, but highlights or whatever. But yeah, I think Robinson's got them playing well. But the only thing that goes in our favour, I suppose, is that we've not been beaten in the Premier League since 2020, or in fact, not been beat at Paisley since 2020. So I think form is on our side. I'm confident. I think that we'll get the win, because we are now also starting to hit our stride, and I might have just given it a kiss of death there.
You
So sorry.
absolutely have. You've absolutely killed it. You killed it straight away. But
I'm
the
not
thing
going
is,
though. I'm not going, so it's fine.
it's true.
We'll win.
It is a massive week for Hearts because we've got 3 away games. We've won 1 league away game in 2023. We've won 2 away games in 2023. We've got 3 away games in 7 days we're going to have to change our short-term history if we want to come out of that run of fixtures, not losing and progressing to the semi-final of the League Cup. We're going to have to do pretty well to do so. St Mirren are a good side, really good team. They are, as you said, Kev, they're well organised and they're set up well. And that's what worries me the most. If you look through this season, historically, we can't play against David Martindale's sides because they're well set up and well disciplined. We struggle to play against Derek McInnes's teams because they're set up well and well disciplined. We struggle to play Stuart Ketterwell even when he was at the Ross County manager. We struggle to play against his teams because they're set up well and well disciplined. And Stephen Robson, even when he was a Motherwell manager, we struggled to play against his teams because they were set up well and have to be absolutely bang on it on Saturday to get the bit. So, big boy time. Kev, what is your prediction on Saturday afternoon?
1-1.
1-1. Coolio. Ando?
I think St Mirren will score, but we'll edge it 2-1. Boyce on the double.
Coolio. I think Heart of Midlothian will lose 2-0 on Saturday. I don't think we will win. So hopefully I'm wrong. I would pray to be wrong. Will we do Kilmarnock and Ross County since we won't be after those games?
That game. Yeah,
Right,
I think do
go on
the Kilmarnock game.
He's Kilmarnock then.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, everybody playing on plastic pitches, and again, as we've said, McInnes will have his team set up. There'll be discipline in that team on that surface. It's always going to be tough. In regards to the actual game itself, I all square after 120 minutes, but we win on penalties.
Okay.
So
Ando?
Kilmarnock in the quarterfinals we're doing first, yeah.
Yep.
I think we're losing that. We're getting beat.
Yeah.
I'll
What's the
just
score?
stick a number on it, 2-0 to Kilmarnock. I think we'll struggle on a plastic pitch. Cold, horrible Tuesday night in September. Be minging, horrible. We'll get beat 2-0.
I also think Hearts will get beat. I think it'll be 1-0 to Kilmarnock. So there we go. A nice, positive, friendly end to the Hearts podcast as always. And for what it's worth, I don't think we'll win any of our away games. I just don't see it happening. When you can all get it right up me on Twitter, you can get me right comments next week if I approve. As always, thank you. It was good to see you at the game, Ando.
Yep.
Hopefully I'll see you. Well, actually, not. I hope I didn't see you again, but I hope to see you soon.
Yes, same goes, mate. Cheers. I'll see you in hell.
Right.
See
See
you
you all
later.
later. Bye. Corgirls.